So we are Team 4, and this is our consulting project. We can all introduce ourselves. My name is Monica Fila.
Shania Fuller.
I'm Justin Frederick.
I'm Cassandra Wysong.
I'm Sydney Hansen.
I'm Natalie Rodriguez.
So for our problem statement, Dr. Liu was given an opportunity between two teaching positions at very different universities. We must understand the opportunity cost between working at either Peking University or at Florida Gulf Coast University. Dr. Liu has asked our consulting group to differentiate the two choices and make an informative and knowledgeable decision along with reasoning for what we believe would be the best fit for his career path. To best suit his needs, using the information shared with us through multiple interviews, we will be able to lay out a reasoning for our decision that should move him in a direction that will promote growth both as a person and in his career.
Understanding Dr. Liu's main concern of growth in research possibilities, we can compare how the two schools commit to these standards. Pulling numbers from the National Science Foundation, we found that although the school size of FGCU is below average, they still rank among the top 400 universities for research and development compared nationally. Although these numbers aren't extravagant, the school opened only 20 years ago and has been growing steadily since. When exploring Peking University's rankings based on their research through the use of SCI Imago institution rankings, we find that it sits at 4th overall in the Chinese university rankings, further explaining the research expenditures that are offered in the letter. Peking University does boast a student population of nearly 3 times the size of FGCU, as well as having been around for nearly 80 more years, allowing for a stronger research base to form over time. Peking University is a much stronger candidate for employment with research opportunities when comparing the two offers based on the descriptions found.
Compensation comparison. With base salaries being comparable between the two positions, we investigated the tax code for both assignments and found that both areas use a progressive tax format, where in Florida there is no state income tax, leading to a 22% tax rate at the income level designed in the offer letter. Meanwhile, in China, there is a progressive tax income rate placing you at the 35% level, leaving the difference between the two positions at roughly $12,000, $12,500 more after taxes with FGCU. Although in China, they do have a socialized medical plan set in place, this covers just the basic needs, and even within the interviews, the interactions with Dr. Liu, we can see that he would need insurance that would cover vision and possibly dental, which most plans do not cover. When comparing average medical insurance prices between China and the United States, we can see the pricing difference of around $4,000 or more in the United States, leading to a net income difference of still $8,000. Although the cost of living is lower in Beijing compared to Fort Myers, the income brought in overtime can allow for Dr. Liu to live comfortably in either scenario, while bringing in more money annually at FGCU, as seen below, or in the screenshot.
Labor unions and unionization. With the prior understanding that Dr. Liu is a member of the California Faculty Association, a labor union that protects the rights and collectively bargains for the quality of education, the fairness of education, and the policies that ensure higher education, is able to be accessed. We know that having these abilities and rights would be beneficial and important to his career choices. Exploring the two positions and the union offerings in each location, there's a large gap between the two systems. In China, there's an umbrella union known as the All China Federation of Trade Unions that appears to be a state-run regulation authority. Within the ACFTU, there are no current teachers' unions in place, so the ability to have access to the rights that he had been accustomed to as part of his current labor union would fall under the cookie cutter policies that all of the other teachers and employees would be part of countrywide. When comparing to the labor unions in place at FGCU, which has a branch of the United Faculty of Florida, higher education labor union ran statewide with over 25,000 faculty members, the importance of being a labor union comes to mind. This chapter specializes in their own areas that allows for statements such as, we represent members in all higher education issues, academic freedom, bargaining for quality salaries and benefits, and lobbying to advance, protect, and strengthen the university and college systems, stated by President Hodge back in 2023. When weighing the two options based on the ability to unionize and the power bestowed upon the unions in the workforce, the position at FGCU already comes with a labor union structure in place, allowing for an easier transition, as well as a set of rights and standards in place compared to the Peking University. With such strong shifts in power distance dynamics between China and the United States, a cultural shock may come in the realm of work stylings. Dr. Liu does not like to be micromanaged. Instead, he prefers his bosses to be hands-off in most senses of his work. Within China, the power distance is a much larger gap, motioning that any important matters must be deferred to his bosses, and the respect for their authority would lead them to leading in all of his actions moving forward. As you can tell from the map here, the rating here sits on the low end, while in China, we go to a much darker coloring.
The topic of values and humility comes into question when discussing how a person can acclimate to a new environment, as a need for quality personal relationships and a desire for positive quality of life becomes more apparent. Through the interviews with Dr. Liu, we came to the conclusion through his assertions of having tender values and wishing for gentle feedback that he leans towards the rationale of feminine values. When comparing the United States to China, in general terms, there's a more masculine swing in favor of China, although both are above the norm globally. The importance of this stems from how you would like to be treated. Both scenarios will vary depending on this factor, and being treated unfairly may lead to resentment within the workplace at either location. Having a lower score on the map, the favor rests with Florida Gulf Coast University due to its closer levels to femininity in comparison and being closest to what is already the norm.
When delving into the realm of uncertainty, we can disseminate through several interview answers that Dr. Liu has a moderate level of uncertainty avoidance. With both contracts lasting at minimum 3 years, one of the substantial issues lies in the question of failure. Having expressed a low ability to work through issues of failure and an understanding of low adaptation skills, Dr. Liu could face issues in either scenario. With these two statements, the move to China comes with much greater risk. Having only rudimentary speaking skills in Cantonese and not necessarily any knowledge of Mandarin could take time to get used to and learn at a level that would allow for a comfortable lifestyle in China. Meanwhile, in Florida, there is already a family unit there to help mitigate risk and to give comfort and understanding when moving and adapting to a more familiar culture. These levels of lowered risk can allow for Dr. Liu to make the move to FGCU more comfortably with his wife, and with the movement back to the state he grew up in would come easier for readaptation.
As discussed in our interviews, Dr. Liu has stated that although he has ethnic Chinese backgrounds and grew up with a basic understanding of how the Chinese culture acts within his family dynamic, he has stated that he does not adapt well to new situations, pairing this key issue with the fact that he stated openly that he tends to be more of an introvert and does not have any particular hobbies. The problem arises where integration into the new society in Shenzhen, along with a basic level of Cantonese, would make adaptation difficult in the short term. With poor simulation tactics, he can cope with difficulties he faces by putting all of his effort into his work, which in the short term could be helpful, but in the long term, this may end up leading to burnout, and unless his wife is on board with the situation, it could lead to feelings of resentment within their family dynamic. With the move to Fort Myers, Florida, he would already understand the culture and values present within the community, in part from his formative years where he was raised in Miami and his parents still live. Having a support network close by could allow for Dr. Liu to have people interact with and with no language barrier present to the need to assimilate into the new culture wouldn't be as apparent to him or his family. Thank you.